back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to a situation where I hope that you one and all are ready to embrace your betrayal. Came from the workbench, Vol.57 Ep.3, where, remember, we've been deep diving. And then the music takes a hold of you. So we are slightly further along. We pan-hearted, and haven't touched that. Some of that definitely still needs cleanup. I wanted to get the body on, and my supply of body mounts runs low, so we had to get somewhat creative in getting it on there. And because of the choice of posts, which I think are reasonably close, 6mm hubs might be in the future of this guy, because I think these might actually tuck it. Like, we're real close to, we've got a little bit of an incidental slam wagon. I didn't intend for this to happen. That is as long as those rear body posts go. We are down. Yeah, I can replace the front posts are kind of where I want to be. We've got that axial play because the pinhole is too far away, but I think the front is going to ship. There's a bit of fender question marks. Like, I don't know if we cut deep enough. Basically, what I did was, here you go. Are you ready for the science? We take our trusty Klein Scribe, and we just ran it across the top of the tire. Cut it out very roughly, and then you might notice that we've got like some real perfect wheel arches. People are like, well, I use a scalpel or I use this. No, I cut these out with the trusty, dusty Dubro body scissors, and then I took them over to an oscillating spindle sander, which is pretty much right behind Jason Kelsey there. And 3-inch drum, and we get them pretty rounded out. Will they be rounded out enough? No say. So we will ghost ride the body basically as is. We're not going to affix any of the plastic bits in the bag. It will get the ghost ride first, so we know what else need be removed. It might also be an issue of the .8s just not enough for the rear, because it basically, with that amount of shock lean, they sit almost all the way down. And if we have to run a heavier spring, let me tell you something, I ain't mad about it. The front on the .8s feels pretty good. The damping feels pretty good. Those are, again, just GTS pulled out of the drawer. I had the opportunity to choose, do we want dig servo forward or the mount flipped around with the dig servo to the back? Despite it being a full body, I opted to go forward. And in order to do that, one must take the mount over to the disc sander, sand some off the face. It is very close right there. It might need actually a little bit of relief, but it fits. I mean, it seems a-okay. I don't know, because I haven't selected a horn yet, I don't know if we want the servo mounted from this side or flipped around and mounted to the other side. We figure that out when we go to do things like set up linkages. So the body posts are on, and I have a hyper-technical, you'll notice the lines, I have a hyper-technical methodology for mounting these. You'll notice the series of marks at the back. It is 130mm fender to fender. This only applies to this body specifically, but you can use the same technique for any body, 130mm, so we know that the center of that should be right around 65mm. So you notice a little double line, because I set my good friend the caliper to 65mm. I make a mark, I measure from the other side and make a mark. So the center of that is in between those two marks. Then I measure on the chassis center to center on the body posts. In this case, 55 millimeters. Half of 55 millimeters is 27.5 millimeters. We're not gonna deal with half millimeters. So I set it to 27. I make the marks on either side because we're making a mark that is over 1 millimeter wide. So a half a millimeter is not probably gonna bite us. What we want to do is we want to make sure that the 55 millimeters is spread as evenly as we can off the center line. That way the body doesn't cant to one side or the other. I always begin with the front posts, get it centered over the front axle, because bodies tend to have some sort of indicator of what the center is. And then I do the same thing, only this time instead of going fender to fender, I did the little hood line to hood line and measured the number of millimeters, measured the spread, lined up the holes, and then you don't have to worry about the fudge factor of the body posts, because I mean the body posts will do some stuff. They will definitely move more than enough. So we want to drill holes that go a little bit beyond approximating where we think the posts are going to line up. All this guy needs is most of the work done to him, and then he'll be ready to go. And to get the body posts up here, I was going to mount them down here. I don't have anything long enough, so I don't know if you can see it. It doesn't look obvious. Where's tiny, very sharp pointer? So these two shock mounting holes, which I hope I never have to use to mount shocks, I took a Dremel and Dremeled them into a slot. That way it would fit the 10 Pro mounts. I love those 10 Pro mounts because they're small and you can mount them most anywhere. The solitary drawback to them is that their hole spacing doesn't match up to the hole spacing of anything else. Once again, Axial went their own way and was like, well, we've made a new thing. Let's just make that new thing. I'm spinning around like a lost dog. I have an absolute pile of batteries that are freshly charged. And among them is a 2200. And I checked. I double checked to make sure 2200 fits real nice right in there. Nice. Right under the hood. And it is probably too softly sprung all the way around. And if you will recall back to episode 1, our link mounting options in the rear are not great. We can give us less link separation. That is inarguably a lot of link separation for a class 1 size tire. I don't know how this geometry is going to go dynamically, and that, once again, is what ghost rides are for. There's no pinion fitted because we still have yet to mount the motor. And that's one of the things that we're going to do today. I would honestly love to just make a little plate that sticks off the side of the dig mount and just slap that guy right on like that. That'd be great. And I've been kind of I've been looking at it. You know, I've been eyeballing it and thinking, how would I do this? Coming off of the dig mount is probably the absolute easiest. And that'll mount it a little higher than I would like. I would like it down there. And that's going to introduce problems. We have the holes up front for where the FMM used to be. And I don't think it is out of the question, because that'll get the weight a little further forward. We may indeed be able to get this guy right about there. Right about there. Just depends on what lines up. I don't want to have to go through some sort of arduous fabrication process to get this in here, because the whole time I want to run this thing brushed. I want that 20 turn in there. I think that our final drive on this is going to lean into that. This should be good. You'll also notice the SA75 is out and a brand new 50 kg Flash Hobby is in. You've probably already seen why. I mean, it's already been up. We 4-wheel steered the Capra axled H10 cage, and it's got double SA75s on it. I looked around this building. I was like, I know I have another SA75 in a box. I knew that there were 3 in here, right? 1 for him, 2 for that. It's sitting over on the bench behind me. I looked and looked and looked and looked. Could not find it. Ordered the 50, stole his SA75, put it in that guy. About 25 minutes ago, I found that SA75. Still in the box. Unrememberingly committed to another rig. There's a build that is very early on in its parts acquisitions, and it has an ESC and a motor and a servo and everything sitting in the body in the bag. So that's on me. So he's going to get a 50 kg, and I don't think a 50 kg will be a problem at all. I mean, an SA75 is technically a 45 kg, so if anything, this is more powerful. I've been ignoring the fact that receivers exist this entire time up until about 10 seconds ago, where I thought you also need to mount a receiver. So I think the go-to is grab us a bin, see if we can get some ends, and loosely mock us up. That doesn't look too long. Loosely mock us up a front drive shaft, because I want to make sure. And this is I don't like to tout a lot, but not my very first rodeo. I've been here a few times, so my brain goes, don't you dare start cutting Delrin and aluminum and Kydex and whatever else to try to get an electronics tray in there before you put a front drive shaft on it, because your dumb ass will mount that electronics tray too low and it will hit the drive shaft. I'm not saying that that's what would happen. I'm saying that's 100% what would happen. This looks like it's going to be either very close or spot on. And we're going to find out right now. Oh, it's so very close. That is too long by about 5 millimeters, which means, come back, which means whatever this front end is, we just need another one of those. Are these attached? Sadly. Can't find it. Do I thread lock my drive shaft's ends in with the screw? No. Okay. Conditionally, no. Because it is my preference to make a drive shaft that is the length where, when we are at full compression, the drive shaft is fully collapsed. So I generally start with plastics that will put me over length, and then I will take these to the lathe or sander and I will turn them down lightly to get it to where I want maximum engagement. So I will do... I love a Vanquish drive shaft. You know what I don't love? You slide the little piece on which retains the pin. There is no retention at all. They just fall apart. That one just rolled under part of the bench. So that one, for current purposes, is gone. We'll just move on to another one. Try this end. Nope. Gotta do trans end first. And the part fell off. All right. With those two in there, we've got a front drive shaft, which is about, I would say 2 millimeters too long. Because I think at full compression, you'll watch one rip, because it's fighting that way. Many times, this is just one to file away in your mental data banks. You're setting your rig up, and you made some changes. Those changes are, for the purposes of this discussion, insignificant. You've made a change. Some part has been changed. And you're like, man, my front end feels super weird. Again, learn from my mistakes. In my experience, this is some indication. I can't find another. I'm just pulling bins. This is some indication now that your front drive shaft is effectively too long for your front end, and your suspension is bottoming the drive shaft out. I have done that more times than I will comfortably admit, and despite knowing exactly what it is, like right now, I'm looking for it. You can actually see it wants to lean to one side because there's resistance. And it's like 2 millimeters too long. Despite knowing exactly from whence it arises, I just blank it out and I forget. You know, I might be out of ends. I did just build a set of drive shafts for another vehicle. Somebody in this building, they don't know it yet, but they're getting cut to lengths, and I'm going to steal their plastic drive shafts because I want to run plastic drive shafts on this one. So there we go. And we didn't even have to cut anything to length. Our man Tank, who is a brazen TRX4 conversion, though these are both drive shafts from Jolly Green, who is now on the Yeah Racing drive shafts, which if you have a TRX4, they are truly fantastic because they feature two ends like this, which have the spline attached to the end, and then a slidey bit in the middle. He was running these hastily cobbled together axial shafts because it was what I had, and the bins were full of TRX4 shafts, and those of you who know, TRX4 shafts are basically only designed to work on TRX4s. So, being short travel, when you attempt to put a TRX4 drive shaft on something else, also they put their pin spacing not quite the same as everybody else's. You can fit other brands on TRX4s, but getting other TRX4 on other brands tends to prove to be more difficult than it ought to be, I think. Are we going to get something approximately close so I don't have to disassemble anything? Yes. We're basically just here to muck it up. We want to see if we've got drive shaft angles decent. They looked passable, but looking passable and actually working, that's two different things. Sure would be great if we could nudge this gearbox over about 6-7 millimeters. The only way that would be possible would be to change our plans entirely and put a pancake in it. We put a little secure combo in there, and then the motor's way up here, and we can slide that right over. But, not much actually. The pinion gear would be like, haha, here I am. It'll roll away a little bit less now. Now, how did we do rear pinion angle? Rear pinion angle looks fantastic. And we have to remember, these are indeed, don't get it twisted, these are SSD Diamond Pros, but they are not Air 44. These are running the Element backs. So these have Element gears and Element drive shafts in them. These are Elements. So it is sprung way too soft, probably. I mean, we can slam. So let's see. Okay, where would we sit? We'd be sitting right about there. 40 millimeters at the skid. And that is front links level. So we want to actually sit about right, I think we want to sit about right there. You can see the front start to droop. That's just under 50 millimeters. I would like 50 millimeters under the front of the skid. That gives us 55-60 here in breakover land. Honestly, it doesn't look too bad. What we had to do in the panherding with this front link, like how they pass over each other, we've got good parallelism all the way around. It looks ridiculous at the front, but somehow none of this stuff is hitting each other. I don't know. It doesn't look right. I don't think the springing is right, and we're just going to keep adding weight. Like this is going to drop, and then we're going to, Now we're gonna, you know what? We're gonna make good on it. We're gonna make that tray. The drive shafts may indeed getting swapperooed. Right now it's Vanquish plastics in the front and Axial plastics in the back. This one's actually probably really quite pretty close. We will swap out. We may swap out. It is neither critical nor, one could argue, even important. Do the plastics match? Might end up with cut to lengths on them. When I went over on the other side of the wall to browse what was on hand, to see who was going to be doing drive shaft swapperoo. Like the first 10 rigs I went to are all on cut to lengths. Because these guys are not economically viable. It costs so much. If you want to buy these, you will go and shop for them and then come to a relatively quick determination that you are not going to buy them. Okay, they don't like the Vanquish end. The little plastic crown is hitting the face of the motor plate, so I can't slide it in far enough to actually get the pin into it. That's not a problem right now. It's long enough. Remember when I said it's too long? It's long enough that it's impossible for that drive shaft to fall apart. So we're just gonna let it go. Does it even? Yeah. Well, it's a little chunky. Yeah, that drive shaft is definitely over length. So we need to get a receiver. It looks like with the upper link, and we have to look at where we would be at full compression. Yeah, I think we're still fine. We've got the 2 vertical holes for the motor plate, and we've got another hole here, which I have no recollection of what that hole is for. We just need an L. We need a little L shape. And right now, what my brain is doing is going, hey, what's the absolute easiest way to do that? Can we fit? I'm down here on the ground already. We might just have to grind away at the motor plate a little bit if it does not want to fit the drive shaft. Oh, there's no way. The motor cut up motor plate will work. I wouldn't mind running like the top part of the motor plate because all the wires are going to be right here. Spur gear just thrashing away at everything. The front upper link is in the domain of the plate. Like, that is inside the plate. So that's, we're not getting the full one. I'm not worried about pinion coverage, and I've cut these things before. I tend to just follow this arc of a circle around, and I just cut it off on the bandsaw. We've got, I don't like gear covers. I will run a portion of a gear cover when necessary, and we haven't gotten any wires attached yet. Maybe I can loop them over this chassis brace. This is how it goes. We make no plans, no predictions. We just start cutting plastic and metal and aluminum, and we make something fit. I'm looking at it. This is what I do. This is where there are pauses and transitions, because I just sit back and I just stare at it. And while I'm staring at it, I get down under the bench again. I grab the appropriately named bin, assorted LCG bits, and I say, maybe, just maybe, something already exists. Look, we've got a little 3D printed plate someone sent in. It is slightly too narrow. We can cut to fit. We can modify as need be. Carbon way too narrow. How about something? I think this is part of a ground box. Oh. Oh. Okay, we can't get it in there because that front spacer is a little too tight. Might have to trim this a little bit. Are you going to line up with any holes for me? That would be great. How comfortable would we be? Oh, it's so infuriatingly close. That's terrible. That's terrible. Like, see, this is the stuff I live for. Oh, wouldn't it be nice? Would it not be nice? The woodworker's credo. If you can't buy it, if you can make it for less, make it. If you can't buy it, make it. If you can get it off the shelf, just get it off the shelf. There's absolutely no reason to fabricate everything. Now I'm hoping for some of those like little angly pieces that they use to attach sliders. Some little slider attachers, because I know we have more than one vehicle in here that doesn't have sliders on it and came with them. Similar to this, but without the jaunty 45-degree angle. I would honestly just prefer that in a 90. If we've got to make it, we absolutely will. Yeah, there's a lot of weird pieces in here. Now, see, I could cut that. Holes, that's kind of perfect. Now we're just getting into position of denial. We need to make two pieces that round to the top, come down like this. There's a hole here and a hole here, and then this piece is going to go like this, and then on the inside it's like that. And actually that's probably a little dippy too low. It's going to go something like that, and then we're going to tie it into the other screw, and then we'll put a tray right here, which will determine how long this leg goes by where we can get like 2 screws per side to go in. So I need to make 2 little pieces like that. We don't want them to be overwhelmingly thick, but still at least, I would say 6 or 7 millimeters. Ooh, and as I said 6 or 7 millimeters aloud, I have a recollection. It is dim and it may be inaccurate, but I believe I have a piece of aluminum that is not too thick and not too big. We might be able to just knock this out on the bandsaw. A couple of absolutely solid options, and reason why we never, a piece of aluminum has got to be very small for me to discard it. Very small, because that's an infinitely useful size. We've got 5 mil. You can get away with 5 mil. And these pieces this is 1/4 inch. 6.35 millimeters is 1/4 of 1 inch. And Bosch. I think there's every chance we can get both of them out of this piece right here. And then it's a little bit of marker, a little bit of pencil, a little bit of trace. First we trace the rough lines here, right? It looks like we've done advanced math here. This is the bottom of the chassis rail, so we know we have to cut that part off. We know how much thickness we want to leave for the holes. We see that we've got enough hole space on the inside to get part for the panel in there. We've got enough hole because we're going to go out here, and we follow the organics of it. And effectively, what I'm going to do is cut that off right at that line. I'm going to drill 3 2.5 millimeter holes in there. I am then going to take this cut off piece, super glue it to the back of this piece, drill the 3 holes, through tap them, so tap all of them together. So instead of tapping 6 individual holes, I'm going to tap 3 holes. So they will be mirrored and they will be threaded. Put set screws in them to hold them together. Then I'm going to do the cutouts. So I'll do the rest of the little cuts, shape it up on the sander, and hopefully then they should just fit. so we have a 1/4-inch ledge to set a panel on top of, and to save time and sanity, instead of using like one of the little, like I could easily cut it out of one of these little carbon fiber takeoffs. I don't like working with carbon fiber. It is a miserable material. I will grab a little scrap of Kydex, because remember, there's the pinch. You can see the pinch. So this piece is going to have to be tapered, and you have a number of times to get that correct. The number of times you have to get it correct is 1. So let me cut this and do all those things, and then we'll get to fitting that tray. So cut into that basic L with the bottom kind of trimmed off. There's 3 big, I think they're probably 10 millimeter set screws. They might be 12 millimeter set screws because they're very close. They would probably be 12-inch, half inch-ish. We're a little long on this back leg. This is the vertical leg. If you don't think I checked, then you're in the wrong place, because I definitely checked to see if the holes lined up, and they do. You can see a little bit of silver shining out pretty much everywhere. That is fine. We're going to take a whole bunch off of this. We still are in the depths of opportunity to ruin it, because we've got 6.3 millimeter. We need to drill a 3 millimeter hole through it. We'll get about 1.5 millimeters of material on either side. We're probably going to take this off at the back, probably take 3-4 millimeters off of that. It's finally starting to cool down. It's not hurting my fingers anymore. We're gonna file this down to get that edge a little bit cleaner. Not that it matters. We're gonna take some off the top. Wherever it doesn't look like it needs extra material, we're gonna remove that material. I just want to keep this pretty close to 90, although it doesn't matter. And then most likely, the piece that when we put it over this, we're gonna have it come around on a notch. We just need the depth of a 1080, so this is about the depth of a 1080. I don't want this to be overwhelmingly large. We want to keep it fairly simple. The KISS principle is always in play here. First round of cleanup, we're getting into a shape. We're getting into a shape. And we do not detach the 2 parts until we feel pretty confident about the fit. That does not look bad at all. There's a little bit of a cosmetics. I'm not upset about this length, the lower length of the L, but this little point, would you focus? Thank you. This little length sticks out past the chassis a little bit. Now, the plate that we put on is probably going to stick out past the chassis too, but we're constrained by where that hole is. So I don't like that. Probably going to take a little bit more off the back. We'll clean it up a little bit, and then the secret stuff. Again, the experience, things that only come with experience, because I wouldn't have thought of it otherwise until having to remake a part multiple times said, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? So I keep a little bowl, little stainless steel bowl of water. That's why I'm like wet and metallic. Little stainless steel bowl of water right next to the sander. Starts to get hot, you throw it in. You can usually watch the boiling water coming out of the threads, out of the screw holes. And you know that you're stabbing 12 millimeters into the sanding disc when the water in the bowl starts to get hot. Which it did. Let's see if we can... it depends on how well the glue went. There have been instances where I've glued these together sufficiently, and this may indeed be one of them, where they do not want to separate. But it's just super glue, man. I think I am incidentally and unintentionally my own worst enemy. Is when I cleaned the parts with our good buddy, the denatured alcohol, to get the marker to stick a little better. Boy, howdy, did I get a bond with the super glue, which is only supposed to be a temporary tack, but that was in fact more of like, well, you've glued us together. And we're going to stay this way. The set screws weren't doing anything. That would have held together. That was like 2 minutes under the direct nozzle of the heat gun with a welding glove on one hand. That hole, that looks like a 2.5 millimeter hole. That is a 2.5 millimeter hole. Let us address that quickly here. I just remembered, yeah, the FMM is 2.5. Drilling out 2.5 to 3 millimeters, not a whole lot of an issue. As I said, chassis came in as a donation. So one of the holes that are, maybe they put some other FMM in it. I don't know the whole story. But we're going to use those FMM positions to mount our electronics, and I think it will do just fine. It's a pretty good placement. It is sprung weight. Optimally, we would want it all to be unsprung, but we'll take what we can get. Now, what are we doing here? What are we doing? That lines up perfectly. That was an instance of a 3 millimeter fastener in a 3 millimeter hole. Now, do we line up down here? I will probably, you can hear those screws really start to bind down. As a part-time savior of sanity, just get an 1/8 inch drill bit. Drill the holes out to 1/8 inch because, as you may, or alternately, may not know, 1/8 inch is 3.125 millimeters. So, it gives you just that little bit of extra for when you know, we made marks with a Klein branded Sharpie, and the widths of those marks, again, over a millimeter. So it's not uncommon to get the holes just a little bit off. Also, if you loose tighten them down all first, you can get it to go a little better. And we're using button heads, so we're making an effort not to over torque the living hell out of them and strip them out, so we don't have to get an Edgesaurus out. And there are our 2 brackets. We're sitting pretty. Sit up nice. Nothing is going to hit them. We'll make sure the front upper isn't going to hit it. We still got good clearance on there. We got 5-6 millimeters there. Absolutely no problem. So now, and this is why we work with Kydex, we're going to try to get a rough estimate. So we're gonna do the back. Ooh, there's an idea that I just had that you might have had as well. We can put maybe a little vertipiece, a little tab or something to help me make sure I don't slap anything. I mean, a box or something on here would be great. But so at the back of it, we're looking at about, we're gonna go 75. We're gonna go 75. And at the front of it, we're looking at about 70. Not a problem. Now, I have a full 1 foot square of Kydex. I just recently ordered it. You have no idea how much I want this piece to be big enough. And I'm going to go on record and say that piece is big enough. Now, no matter what we do, we're not going to have enough of this piece left over to use for really anything meaningful. We'll mark from the bottom. We'll measure this piece, see where we are. Unfortunately, this piece is 111 millimeters wide. Not today. So we'll make every effort to minimize the arithmetic. This is now 100 millimeters wide. This is where the metric system I mean, it works. We won't adopt it here fully. We won't fully embrace it because, honestly, I think it's impossible. I think it's impossible. It's too late. It's too late. You would have to wait until maybe 2 generations from now. You can get the kids, and you basically have to not teach them the imperial system of measurement because it's like learning a language, or you start teaching them both. You make them bilingual measurement-wise. 50.0 millimeters. You'll notice there is one line down there in the middle. We go from one side, we do a scribe, that's 50. We do a scribe, that's 50, and we get one line right down the center. So, what we need to make is 70 at one end, which is 30, which is 15. I know that's... hold on. My confusion will wax and wane like the moon. 1499. 1499. Close enough. So if we go from the outside here, make a little mark. So there, and then we do the same on the other side. Choo! Now, that should be 70 millimeters. And is the focus going to be good enough to catch that 70? Yeah, kind of. That is 70 millimeters. So we need the back to be 75, which leaves 25, and half of that is 12 and a half. Now, 12 and a half is a ludicrous measurement to operate from because we're going to be using the sander, band on a sander to do this primarily. And then we do the back, same thing. It's a little wider because we're only going 5 millimeters wider. Make a mark there. Make a mark there. Then we get out one of our favorite tools in the collection, or at least we thought we could. My Starrett scribe, which, I mean, we'll have to use my other Starrett scribe. So, this is woodworker stuff. A pencil makes a mark too wide, and it's not uncommon for us to use a Sharpie, which makes a mark even wider. So the beauty of the scribed line is you can't wash it off, and it is that width, a fraction of a millimeter wide. We go zip, and there is our tapered piece. Now that taper does not take into account the little tab here. We don't have to worry about that because when we cut at the outside edge, we basically just need to copy that taper 6 millimeters in. And what's the easiest way to do that? You're a step ahead of me, guys. You cut this so you have your taper. You ensure that it fits. Then we do the same exact method at 6.35 millimeters wide. Scribe it, cut it again, drop it in. Now, would we get better accuracy on the taper to the pinch? He remembers now. He loosened this. So we might be we might be too wide. You know what you can do? You can grind some off. You know what you can't do? File some back on. Yes, we're definitely too wide. It had really opened up there with that loosened. Because we are now 70 and 73. But, oh, it's real close. It's real close. Yep. Beautiful. We work only in the bespoke because I have no intention of ever making another one of these. Oh, it's real close. It's real close. Is he tempted to get lazy? Oh, you know he is. Loosen it back up. Make sure what that we're looking at on the fitment. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Yes. That's exactly where I want it to sit. So, where's our pencil? You know what we do? A woodworker will have on hand at any given time like 50 pencils. Good old Ticonderoga wooden pencils. because you will set them down everywhere. All my aprons have pencils in them. There's pencils everywhere. Tape measures as well. We can't keep track of them. It's not possible. Let us try to get this wedged into what looks to be approximately straight. So then what we'll do is we'll mark where this needs to be cut. We're going to do it super scientifically, which is just mark around. Ooh, upper link getting in the way a little. We'll mark around the little arm. Okay. Now we're going to cut that off. Let's continue this out. We're just going to cut it off with the bandsaw. We're going to touch it up with a file. There's our little corners to cut off. Then we're going to drop it in there, and if we have to either find another one or file this a little narrower, we will do that. We'll bespoke it. We get it to fit, and we hope, above anything else, that some years of experience have made it to where we don't absolutely woodworker it. Meaning we don't make the piece fit so tight that basically once it's in, it's in. And I don't think that we have. There's our little guy. There's a little guy right there. Now, I had alluded to moments ago about years of experience, correct? Yes, years of experience. Teaching us, we'll take care, because we have made this mistake before, in which, allow me to elaborate, you drill the holes in one or the other. You either drill your holes in the L bracket or you drill your holes in the top panel, and then nothing lines up. You're like, oh no, we've done it again. And yes, many times we have done it again. So we put this thing in place. We look at where, what I'm looking at is where this screw is, because I don't want to get a screw passing through. So I'm going to go as close as I can, which is probably going to be a 6mm head on a button head. So if we go out 4mm on 4.5 millimeters, let's see where that is. That's real close. That's real close. So, you know what we're going to do then? We're going to do exactly what you think we're going to do, which is we're going to err on the side of caution. And in erring towards the side of caution, we're going to go about, we're going to fudge it, is what we're going to do. I'm going to take a ruler, and I'm going to lay it across this right here. And we're going to hope that when we lay that ruler across there, it's in a pretty straight line. That looks pretty good. We're going to pencil-yak it. And then I'm going to guesstimate the center line, which looks right about there. Right about there. Okay. We're going to get our other stare-it buddy. This is an all stare-it afternoon right here. We're going to give it a punch. We're going to give it a punch right there. And then we're going to begin the drill. And as soon as I feel a little bit of added resistance of aluminum, we're gonna stop, because we will do that on the drill press. But what we've done here is made it impossible. I want that dimple a little deeper. We've made it impossible for the holes in the plate and the holes in the bracket to not line up. Well, impossible is bold, but close enough as to approximate impossible. And the beauty of this is, when I have this tray apart, we can drill all those holes out to 1/8 inch or 3.3. We could go hog wild, man. Just bore them out to 3.3. Then we don't have to worry about anything wiggling on it. where like we get a screw too tight and strip the head out. We're trying to save ourselves. For whatever reason, one side went in more easily than the other. Now at this point, I do want to keep them reasonably handed. And I've already mixed, okay, that is the right. So, let us write R on that one. And then let us write L on this one, because they were made together, they were drilled together, all of those things. It doesn't matter. None of that matters at the end, because they are still bespoke. And I didn't get them quite centered. But for eyeballing them in, it's eyeball close. We are a millimeter forward on the right-hand one. And that is how bespoke works. Because did I hit the line? I did really good on the line. One of the cuts, maybe a little deep. We're making one. And this is how I make one. Oh, I'm gonna need a tap. Speaking of taps, if you glue your parts together and use Kicker to accelerate the glue, and then you use Pro Tap Magic to tap your holes because your mock blue goo is buried under a pile of bodies and you can't get to it. When it gets hot during both the tapping process and when you're sanding it on the sander, it smells almost exactly like a glazed donut, which is neat, but also concerning, both about what I'm inhaling and what is potentially in glazed donuts. Notes! 2 of those 6 holes had already been drilled out to 1/8 inch. The bit just passed right through. The others were still 3mm. So we'll have an improvement, a fitment improvement, because I think it was those 3mm guys that were throwing us off. So do a little deburr, because the goal and the hope is mount this, never take it out again. That is, as always, the hope. Ran a 3mm countersink into those just on account of, because there's nothing that is going to stick out there. And Pro Tap Magic was still in use here. Pro Tap Magic will remove Sharpie like it's a Mr. Clean magic eraser. Just erased it clean off. There's a hint of L still remaining on the other one, because it didn't get as much on it. The R is basically gone. But I really need one of them. And that, again, I didn't even know I was learning, but I learned it. Mark both pieces. Don't just mark one and then go, well, I know which one the L is. Now I don't have to worry about which one the R is, because the Tap Magic or other agents will be like, ha ha ha, erase it. Erase it so that he's lost. That's where we went. This is a thing where, and I feel like I haven't ranted at all. I'm having a good time. I love fabricating stuff. I love when a plan comes together. This is somewhere where someone would go, well, you could just 3D print that. I mean, I guess you could. You absolutely could. But I'm only going to make one. I'm going to make this one. How many other times could one conceive that would be operating in this exact set of circumstances? I'm not making another one of these. So much of what I do, one might present a compelling argument that virtually everything I do is one-off bespoke. And just make the part. Make the part, and if you ask me, do you want to exchange what you have for a 3D printed piece, I would have to say no thank you, because this is aluminum and Kydex. This is going to be, at the beginning, afternoon, and end of the day, more robust and more durable than something that is 3D printed. It is also bespoke to the application, and I take some not entirely small pleasure in knowing that that piece right there, made out of those 3 little bits, that piece right there, that's the one. It's the only one. That one exists in this place and in this place alone, and I have no intention nor need to replicate it. So 3D printing is an excellent solution for what I call rapid prototyping. But the issue there is, not to toot, again, one's own horn, but I am a rapid prototyper. If I was not recording this in any way, it would take me about 25 minutes to make that. 20 to 25 minutes. And do you know what we did? We made it on the first try. I didn't have to make any extra pieces. Here's the other piece of aluminum, and here's the other piece of aluminum. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. I make things, and this is the way that I have always made things. I've made things in a fashion most bespoke, meaning that the piece is custom tailored. It's gonna, we're unless we run this way, which is possible, we can do that. That's what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to turn that to the side. We may still end up cutting the top off of a gear cover, just because 32 pitch and 14 gauge wires, they will meet in the middle, and the twirly guy is gonna win every single time. We'll figure out how we're going to bundle the wires over here. The battery will still fit right like that. We might actually take the power, the power cable, and oh yeah, we're gonna have to cut a gear cover down for sure. It just looks risky. It looks risky. And here's the deal. I said that this is 57 is the deep dive series. It doesn't matter how much we get done. You're going to end up going deeper into the process than you may have potentially known. Ooh. Oh, get out. Come on. Don't do it. Don't be that way. Don't be that way. See, we're bespoke, and we used 8mm. Let me see. Let me take a glance. Yeah. Let me take a glance. Maybe. So, I want things a specific way. Wait. Nay. Problem avoided. If I had had to spend money, we would have gone to the tools. But this and this, side by side, and they were like this. So in this configuration, these two elements are 57mm wide. Now, what if I turn them this way? 53mm wide. So it was going to fit either way. I wanted the wires out to the side and then this mounted just like this. The spacing betwixt these two is 55mm wide. So it wasn't going to fit. So we either have the option of putting a micro to the side like that, and then we can run it this way, or we can put a gear cover in and just come straight over the top. I'm drawing this one to a close because not it came from the Workbench 57. I mean episode 3 of it. We're gonna take a silver one because we have silver ones by the mostest. And I am going to pick a spot. See, I like to cut off the little, they make like a little flower on it. I like to cut the flower off. So I'm just looking at, I want the top of a gear cover. So we're going to go from the inside of this right here. So we're going to cut along there. And then we'll probably trim it a little, and we're going to go right like this. Because if I can leave all 3 mounting screws, that would be great. But we probably can't. We're going to have to suss and sort the drive shaft end. It does not want to clear that at all. So we're going to have to remove the gear plate and grind that down. And we'll probably remove this. You know what? We're gonna do that all. I feel like everybody rushing. I feel like we're gonna end up making cuts where we don't need to make cuts, because again, knowledge and practice. This is not the stock gear. That will clear. Okay, so the gear cover will fit. We'll get it to fit by hook or by crook. If we have to mount that differently, if we've got a machine, if we've got to do stuff, we're going to get it to fit. But there's no sense in hustling, because this is the pace at which I tend to work. I work in fits and starts spread out over time, and what gets done gets done. I put a 12 millimeter screw in to hold the pan hard, so it just, every time you move the rig, it falls out. This guy is certifiably coming along. I have ideas on how I want to paint the body. We're going to see if him being an absolute slam wagon proves to be a problem. I can raise the front body mounts about 3 millimeters. Now, is that the end all? No. No. If it turns out that we have to go higher, I know the width of the post holes. I know the spacing forward. We get 2 posts. We get a piece of Kydex. We put the little, like 10 Pro style, the little nubby body mounts on it. We can raise and lower these body mounts to whatever height we need them to be. This is just how they came out of the bin. And he's a long travel guy. And honestly, I mean, it looks, we're close. For a pre-Ghost Ride condition, we're close. You can see I trimmed that up. We're probably going to trim this up, because if the link goes up past the body, you don't want that. Probably this line on the rocker, we're going to cut that off. You know what that is? You know what that is? You know exactly what it is. You're a step ahead of the game, whether you know it or not. And if you don't know it, if you think you don't know it, you do know it. That's episode 4. Episode 4. What happens is what happens. No hard lines. We're not going to be like, we're going to do this and this and this. No, we're going to get done what we get done. I would like to get the gearbox. I would like to get the gearbox portion completed. It might not be until like episode 6 that this thing sees a rock. And a little sneaky one sent in by a lovely Canyon supporter. There are these weird little dual stages off of AliExpress where this is it feels a little closer to the hobby park than it does to the Tim Tin. But if we want to build us up some Canyon customs with fridge foam and this, we're definitely going to try it. We're definitely going to try it. We'll run through some iterations. This is just single stage foam here. I keep saying that he's going to come out kind of weighty. I don't really think he is. That's probably 4 pounds where he sits right now. This might be a sub 5 pound guy, even with a dig box and a brush motor, because we're making no goal of ultra lightweight. He's going to end up absolutely the way he ends up. And I'm liking the look of it, because you've heard me lament Class 1, where I go, ugh, these Megs have been on the rack since they came out. Because me and Class 1, we're a little bit at odds. So that is why I am trying to assemble a Canyon Class 1, which is something that I will enjoy, because it's all about, she's always lurking in the background. She's checking to see, she's peering over your shoulder, checking to see if it sparks joy. And as we are this far in this project, 100% sparking joy. I love how it's going. Well, this is how we do it. This is how we do it. We walk away. That's how we do. Then we show up for the next one. I clean up as we Midwest goodbye. Did I put the cat? I did. We will have thoughts, and sometimes the thoughts that occur between this and the next one of these, they are indeed the most helpful, because I'm sitting there and I'm occupied with something else, and my brain goes, do that, do that. We committed to body mounts. The body sits great. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. So far, I'm loving it. This might be my Class 1 guy. This might be my Class 1 guy. At least that is the hope at this juncture. My other hope at this juncture, listen to this segue. I hope you all come back and I'll see the next one. I hope you all come back, visit the Canyon, and in between now and when we meet again, please, one and all, do your absolutely very best. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you again here from the Canyon this guy, another guy, whoever. We'll all get together and we'll do the toy car thing. So I will see you then.